from me, Romy Stoch, and welcome to Derech Eretz, the way of the world. In today's show, Rabbi Goldman discusses the role of the spiritual leader. We explore the legacy of the late Chief Rabbi Harris and meet community leader Rabbi Jonathan Fox. In an article called Leadership and the People, former Chief Rabbi of the Commonwealth, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs poses the question, who is a leader? To this he said, the Jewish answer is, one who identifies with his or her people, mindful of their faults, to be sure, but convinced also of their potential greatness and their preciousness in the sight of God. Rabbi Goldman elaborates further.
So what is a rabbi? In Hebrew, rabbi would be pronounced Rabbi, which means my teacher. So besides telling us that every one of us should have a personal relationship with a rabbi, and it should be my personal teacher, not just someone that runs the congregation and makes big, powerful sermons, but actually has a relationship with the congregant. A person can turn to ask for guidance, for help, moral dilemmas, even financial support if necessary, to be there, to be a shoulder to lean on, to be a listening ear and a warm, loving, compassionate heart. But primarily, a rabbi is a teacher. A rabbi doesn't have any more responsibilities according to Jewish law than a layperson. We all have the same number of commandments that we're responsible to observe and keep. A rabbi doesn't have any more than the layperson. The layperson no less than the rabbi. We're all in the same boat. One who studied and one who is qualified studied to be able to impart that wisdom, to be able to share the wisdom of the sages, the eternal, ancient, but timeless wisdom of the Torah of Jewish tradition with even the most contemporary situation. And so it is. I'm always fascinated that I can get up on a Shabbat, on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, and it's quite uncanny how there will always be a message in that week's Torah reading that is applicable to a current event, something topical that was in the newspapers this week. It's mind-boggling, because we believe the Torah is eternal, but one has to be able to teach it, to convey it, to communicate it, to explain it nicely, and to apply it to the current situation. So we don't have to create anything new, but we have to draw from the old ancient wisdoms and to be able to apply it to current situations. And that sometimes takes perhaps a greater degree of creativity that some have. So there are many different ways of describing what is a rabbi and what is a rabbi's role and responsibility. And there are a variety of responsibilities. So first of all, you have to have a degree of scholarship, a degree of knowledge, sufficiently to be able to answer questions, particularly religious, halachic, moral questions. You have to be able to be a teacher, to share knowledge with a community, with people, with an audience, with students. So scholarship, a basic degree of scholarship is absolutely necessary. And leadership means to be able to lead a community and take them where they need to go, to have vision, to be proactive, not only to react to situations, but to have a vision and a clear idea of where we want to take this community, where do we want to go, what are our goals, what are our objectives, what are our ambitions and aspirations, and to be able to implement programs or ideas in which to bring people along and guide them in the right way. And then, of course, a rabbi has to be there for the people in their times of need, whether it be times of loss, times of ill health, time of financial pressures and strains, or difficulties between people. You know, a congregational rabbi is a GP, a general practitioner. He does a little bit of all of these things, including marriage counseling and business mediation and whatnot. There's nothing outside of the province of a rabbi. People come and ask rabbis for all kinds of advice and all kinds of help on such the whole kaleidoscope of life, full spectrum. So those are, I think, three things: a degree of scholarship, ability to lead, and the ability to hear, to listen, to feel, and to be there for people.
Derech Eretz. Derech Eretz.
In 1987, the late Chief Rabbi Harris arrived in South Africa at a very opportune moment in our history. Apartheid was in the process of being dismantled, and all the wheels were being set in motion to transform the country into a democratic society. Chief Rabbi Harris was not content to concentrate solely on the Jewish community's internal affairs, but he also threw himself into the social and economic problems of the country as a whole.
I was brought up in an Orthodox Jewish family, and the belief it's intrinsic. It becomes kind of second nature, and the religion with all its practices is very colourful, very significant part of my life. If there's no God, then what's the whole point of it all? And the very fact of God's existence is supreme in my life, and it gives my whole worldview meaning.
When Chief Rabbi and Ann Harris first came to Johannesburg, I was the chairman of the Gauteng Council of the Board of Deputies. And immediately, both with Ann and with late Cyril, I formed the most wonderful relationship.
The community was strong. It was a very good, strong Jewish community. It had decimated. Quite a lot of people had gone, but not that many. What was a shock to him, and to me, to a lesser extent, was that the community was not sure how it would approach the possible future of democracy. He thought that people would be open-heartedly welcoming to what was obviously to us going to happen. He made up his mind to force them to face reality. And that was his biggest challenge.
It's very well known that many people left, and Rabbi Harris had a very important message for those who left. He said, "We can't tell you whether to stay or whether to go, but if you decide to go, your choice must be Israel." So the message is either stay home or go home. But there was another very important message that he had for the Jewish community. He said, if you're going to stay home in South Africa, then take part in South Africa. Be a South African. Be proud of being a South African. Don't just sit here and sit on the fence. And that's one of the very important messages that we all try to follow.
He was a very positive, exuberant person, and who spread positivity to people. And that is so important, because at the heart of great leadership is optimism. And it's about believing in a better tomorrow, and it's about having faith in people, and it's about seeing the greatness of the people around you and seeing what they can achieve, and that how tomorrow can be better than today if we all work together to achieve great things in a spirit of unity.
There were always pockets of Jewish assistance for the underprivileged. Some of it was family, some of it was community, some of it was commercial. There were little pockets here and there, but there was nothing organized as such by the Jewish community. And he decided that it was time that the new dispensation should see that the Jewish community was prepared to put effort into assisting the new democracy. And that's when Africa Tikkun was born. Cyril had a friendship with Mr. Mandela, which they just got on very well. Mr. Mandela trusted him and vice versa. And then when the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was announced, and they decided that they would have a religious session. He chose two young South African rabbis. He wanted South African-born rabbis, Rabbi Louis Furman and Rabbi Ron Hender. And they spent hours together debating how they would make their presentation. And when he had to make the principal presentation on behalf of the Jewish community, with their agreement, he had decided to apologize for the Jewish community's activities during the period of apartheid. Not that it had perpetrated apartheid, but that it had benefited from it.
What we need in our country is to now display the best that human beings can do to fellow human beings, not the hurt and the torture and the shame.
When he walked into a room, he filled the room with a positive energy. And when he gave his sermons and speeches, he filled the rooms with a positive energy, always with a sense of humor, always with the warmth and with the kindness. And that sense of strength of personality, which made him a great leader, but also a very warm person at the same time. And he was very warm and kind to me, and gave me this, he conveyed to me that he believed in me and that I could do the job and I could continue the work that he had begun. He really conveyed in such a powerful way that he had faith in me to be able to do that. And that meant a lot to me at the time. It really, and still does.
I was with Anne and her sons and Rabbi Moshe Silberhaft at the unveiling of his tombstone. Again, another privilege beyond what I expected. I think of him almost daily. I miss him, and I'm so thankful and grateful that I still have this wonderful continuing friendship with Anne Harris, who's just a wonderful person in her own rights.
Derech Eretz means respect and tolerance, and that can be, those two things can be interpreted in many different ways. He really did respect, without any thought of race or creed, every human being. He believed that the human beings are made in the image of God, and that our respect has to be to them as it is to anybody else. And that was the basis of how he looked at the phrase Derech Eretz.
Derech Eretz. Derech Eretz.
Ensuring that all our parents' needs are taken care of is a fulfillment of the biblical commandment to honor one's parents. The basis for this mitzvah is that we should demonstrate gratitude to those who brought us into the world and raised us. Rabbi Jonathan Fox, through his love, kindness, and empathy, ensures that the residents under the auspices of the Chevra Kadisha in Johannesburg are spiritually uplifted and cared for.
I grew up in this area, and as a child and a young adult, I passed Sandringham Gardens, this massive edifice in which we are standing today, many, many times, and I knew that there was an entire world inside this building. And I was really, all of my life, I was curious and wanted so much to enter this world. And I really, really enjoyed interacting with the residents of Sandringham Gardens on a personal level, on a religious level. And I felt that I wanted to do this more in my life. And therefore, when the late Dennis Levy invited me to try out to be the rabbi of Sandringham Gardens, I jumped at the opportunity. And I've been here for the last 8 or 9 years at Sandringham Gardens and have enjoyed every moment of it. I absolutely love it here. I would like to also mention that in the early days over here, the chazan of the shul, Chazan Shmari Rabinovitz, was a great inspiration for me. He had a wonderful voice and a wonderful nature. He still does have a wonderful voice and a wonderful nature. Very blessed to have him as part of the community. And he taught me so much. So I owe a lot to Chazan Shmari Rabinovitz.
סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך.
I absolutely love interacting with elderly people. There's a wisdom, there's a kind of innocence, there's this maturity, and there's this desire to continue to learn for many, many years to come. They also know that they are approaching the end of their lives, and therefore there's a thirst for knowledge, for growth, for spiritual growth. One of the main challenges, I suppose, is sickness and frailty. They know that they are in this period of their life where they will face physical challenges, and we have to help them from an emotional point of view and of course a physical point of view, but also a spiritual point of view, to help them through these difficult stages in their life.
I keep myself busy, you know. The shul work, I'm busy with the rabbi all the time. I'm sort of the gabba in the shul. I'm busy looking after things, seeing that things get done, preparation, seeing that the shul is clean, that whatever's needed for Shabbos is done on Shabbos. Whatever's needed, whatever the rabbi needs, I can do if he can't do it. So I'm quite busy most of the day.
I never went that often to shul, although I came out of quite a religious family. I may have been a bit of a rebel. And when I was in hospital here and visited by Rabbi Fox, I decided I'm going to try it. I came one Friday night, and I've been coming ever since. This was 15 months ago, and I've enjoyed it.
I really enjoy watching and experiencing them reconnect with their prayer, with davening, praying to God, with their learning of Torah, learning of the Bible, learning of the Talmud, learning of ethics. They connect with that. And very importantly, they realize that this is an opportunity in their lives to help other people. There are many people around who obviously need their help, their emotional, physical help in the home. And as part of their Jewish experience, they very much connect with helping others.
Before I came to Sandringham Gardens, I hardly went to shul. I used to go to shul sometimes on a Friday night, but that was the lot. The shul has changed my values. I now can see that it's different values altogether to what I had before. Before, money was important. Today, money is not important.
There's a tradition in Judaism to celebrate a second bar mitzvah at the age of 83. And when they are able, they learn their haftorah, they learn their portion, and that gives them tremendous chizuk, which is strength in their life, to know that they're able to learn their bar mitzvah pasha again, and that they really re-experience their bar mitzvah.
He's not a typical very religious guy in the form of these older generation rabbis. I could bond with him. He knows about sports, he knows about general way of the younger people living, and to me that gave me a lot of satisfaction. And I myself have done a lot of charity work for underprivileged people in the synagogue, because that's what I'm used to.
Fortunately, I have a tremendous affinity towards the elderly people. I don't find it draining at all. My family sometimes criticizes me for being here at Sandringham Gardens more often than at home, but this is really my second home. I just feel that I relate to the people so easily and so well, and I don't feel a strain at all. I really enjoy sharing their problems, taking the burden off them, and it actually gives me vigor and vitality interacting with the residents over here. It's an absolute joy and pleasure.
I think Hashem has done a wonderful thing in bringing me to Sandringham Gardens. I think he has a plan worked out for me, a plan that I had no idea I would ever be here. I used to drive past this Sandringham Gardens when I was in dental practice, and I used to say, poor people, shame. Today, I'm proud to stand at the front gate and be a proud member of this shul.
I think possibly another inspiration in my life was my late grandfather, who I used to call Papa Sam. And he taught me so much about Yiddishkeit, about Judaism. He was a tremendous inspiration. And in fact, we used to go on walks. And we used to walk past Sandringham Gardens. And he used to say, "Good morning, Sandringham Gardens. Thank you, God." And who knows what that implanted in my neshama. Maybe that's the reason why I ended up working over here and doing the special work that I enjoy so much.
Rabbi Fox, he's an absolute gentleman, and he's a gem of a man. He's everybody's good friend, and everybody loves him. He's absolutely flawless. He does the right thing, always does the right thing.
I think he's a dedicated rabbi, and I think that if anybody is sick or anything like that, I'm sure he'll go and visit them. And I can only say that he's we're very lucky to have a person like him about.
He's a lovely man, understanding, helpful. You can go to him. If you can find him, you can go to him and discuss anything about Torah, about whatever is on your mind as far as Torah is concerned. That is his main object at the Chev.
I like the way he dresses, I like the way he looks, I like the way he talks to me. He encouraged me to try and do the Shachri service early in the morning, and I am proud to stand in front of the bima there and lead the service.
Derech Eretz, as a generalism, means being good to other people, interacting with other people in a positive, kind, generous, caring way. I'm fortunate that in my life I get to deal with the elderly and the frail, and I'm able to express my Derech Eretz by trying to be kind to them, to being generous with them, caring for them and helping them in many ways, in emotional ways, sometimes even in physical ways, but most importantly in a spiritual way, which I believe is one of the greatest kindnesses that a person can do for another, is enabling them, encouraging them and guiding them in the service of God and finding meaning in their lives, and most importantly, connecting with our holy Torah, the holy Bible that Hashem has given to the Jewish people and to the world.
Former US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger once said, "The task of the leader is to get his people from where they are to where they have not been." If you have missed any of our past episodes of Derech Eretz, you will be able to watch them on our Derech Eretz Connect YouTube channel. From me, Romy Stach, and the Derech Eretz team, remember, respect and kindness for others makes the world a better place for all.